Oh, not anymore.
I heard that on the radio the other day.
Look who's here, Philip.
Hey, you guys.
Hi, Philip.
Hi, Philip.
Hi.
Down in the meadow.
Porque cantando.
Come on.
Se alegran, sí.
Cielito lindo de contrabando.
No, we would still appear the same times on that.
Yeah, I guess you're right.
But it would be cool to see one on that
It
screen.
really would.
Wonder if we can do that.
I bet you we can.
I don't think so. No, see,
John, did the lodgers tax add another board member?
we can't do that.
The screen is dead. It has to go to something.
Yeah, well, yeah. We'd have to do it through a projector hookup to this, the laptop, not to that. Still be pretty big though. Cramming. I was.
Better make sure you know what you're talking about. when you talk, right?
Don't ask me any questions.
Hey, Shauna?
Hi.
Hi, Shauna. Is Gabe still on the committee? No.
Nope.
We weren't
He
sure.
resigned.
He resigned?
That's what he told me. But
How are you? Good, good.
Hola, John.
What's going on? Anything? Wind? Wire?
Speaking of which, I just talked to Leah too, so maybe we're going to go evacuate from the house.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've left so many messages for me, I'm sorry.
This is Georgina.
Hi, Georgina.
Hi, I'm here.
So I know I'm waiting for a crew check to log in.
Okay.
So we're just waiting for Krutik to log in. Leo is gonna call him now to see if he's logging in.
All right, can everybody hear me?
Yes.
Yes, yes.
Okay, I call this meeting to order. We have a roll call.
Krutik Bakta,
Now present.
Georgina Ortega Anhel,
Here?
Shauna Sandoval,
Yes.
and Gabriel Garcia. Okay, so we do have a quorum.
Okay. here. All right, so approval of the agenda. If there's not any questions on the agenda, I'll entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
I make a motion that we approve the agenda.
Second,
All right, roll call.
Shawna Sandoval,
yes.
Or invite.
Georgina Ortega Onhed.
Yes.
Okay, so motion passes.
Make that presentation of non. Hearing against.
All right, any public input?
Nothing was submitted to me for public input.
Okay, moving on to approval of minutes.
Motion to approve the minutes?
All right, do I have a second?
I do, Georgina.
All right, roll call.
Georgina Ortega Onhed
Yes.
and Shawna Sandoval.
Yes.
Motion passes.
All right, and now we're at the finance report. Go ahead, Jesus.
Finance report, we'll start off with the trial balance. This is, since it's got the cash, the most important part of it. And as of March 31st, it shows 770,246.84 in cash. The fund balance is 655. The difference will be some payables. And what else is in here? It's all payables. You're showing revenues at 388 in revenues. Well, I don't have a total for expenditures unless we look at your budget report. So if we switch over to your budget report, well, again, I'll repeat, revenues. Well, this revenue report or the budget report runs through 4/30. So it's not going to tie to your trial balance because your trial balance only runs through 3/31. Your budget report shows revenues at 403,606.78. It shows expenditures at 276,443, leaving you a balance of 127,163. The other report that I have is your encumbrance report, and that shows $650 in cell phone services, 4,401 for the billboards on I-40. And if you scoot down to Las Vegas First, the 16 fold rack card brochure, that is 10,530. And Las Vegas First Marketing Assist, that shows 21,470. And then you got 9,000 for the Santa Fe Visitors Guide. And the ice ring that we bought, it is showing at, what is the total for that? 28. about 48,000. Total largest promotion was $59,776. Any questions?
Sorry, I just didn't realize lodger's tax paid for the ice skating rink.
Yeah, largest tax, it didn't go through the board. This was approved outside of the board with council, and council notifies us that that was the use. So we had discussed it during one of the meetings. And that's how some of it works. Council can spend largest tax money at the end with their permission. They just have to notify the largest tax board that that it was done. So yeah, it did go through largest tax. And then Jesus, did we make the ratio for the percentage for promotion? So the quarterly, well, we report every quarter to make sure that we're hitting our targets for.
Yes, we did. Our revenues show infrastructure monies. That's what we moved it to.
Okay, but the formula was to the percentage to make sure that the right percentage was marketing and
Yes,
promotion.
yes. We moved it. We moved it from lodgers tax promotions to infrastructure. And then the report is due now at the end of April.
Okay, and so we're going to be good for that report to make sure we've
Yes.
done the right expenditure. Okay.
So the grand total for that skating promotion was again how much?
59,000.
That's what I just want to make sure that's what I'm looking at. All right,
Yes.
when they, whoever allocates this money, isn't there a cutoff where it has to be done with, for bid or anything like that? When it's over a certain amount?
60,000.
60,000, okay, so that's
Yes.
what I'll remember, 60. So they just barely made it under that bid without having to go out to bid then.
Go out to bid, yes.
All right, so regardless if it goes through us or it goes straight to the council, either way, 60,000 is the cutoff. Anything above, it has to go out to bid, correct?
Yes, it's got to go either RFP or RFB.
Okay, I just needed a clarification on that.
I don't know that math isn't right. That should be, that's like 49,000. So I'm not sure where.
20, 30.
Yeah, 38,
40.
20, that's 49.
The 59 is all of your encumbrances.
Right, that's a total encumbrance on the bottom. So the ice rink is actually 49,890 is the total. Looks like the total encumbrance for the skating rink.
But they took 59.
No, that's your total. That's your
That's
total.
the total.
The total cost, but that's what they took from the lodger's tax is what I'm saying.
49 is what they took for lodger's tax for the rink.
Okay,
The other 10 is other encumbrances.
okay, all right, thank you.
What I was saying, and we'll go over that later, but I'm glad you brought that up, is it was told to me that, and correct me if I'm wrong, Jesus said 59,999 is our cutoff as far as procurement on whether we need to go to RFP or not. Is that
Yes. 60,000 is the cutoff.
Okay. So yeah, that's going to be important to remember as we get to our other presentations. On that is that number as we go forward, because that's going to be part of the discussion. Okay. We've got a lot on the agenda, so we're going to move a little quickly. Is there any other questions on the finance report? All right, we're going to be moving on to business items. The first item is presentation CCHP holiday home tour. And I'm going to ask everyone to be, if they could be, fairly speedy, because we've got about 13 items on there. So if we can, let's get to it.
Who's doing the presentation on that?
Is there anybody from CCHP here to present for holiday home tour or places with Passive Heritage Week?
Well,
Okay.
I had a question on that. I want to know multimedia marketing. What kind of multimedia are they talking about? Because they're asking for $1,000 on that. So that's a question I have. How are you guys keeping track of the people? You know, how are you keeping them after the parade? The other question is, what historical data where are you getting your sources for, keeping track of how many people you've got, And then, sponsors. How long has this tour been going on, and why haven't they gotten any sponsors? Number 5.3, Facebook, website, newspaper, what kind of outreach, and the 65-mile radius. How are they doing this? Where's their proof? This is what I want to know, because they're asking for this money for it. I mean, I like the tour, but their application is kind of vague. That's all I have to say.
All right. Christina, was there someone that you know of that was gonna come present for CCHP?
So I'm talking to them, and I know that Lawrence Quintana, I believe, is supposed to be doing the presentation, but he is one of the people dealing with the fire with his house. So I'm not too sure if he's going to be able to make it.
Yeah, that's some of what I was dealing with right before this meeting as well. There are evacuations happening right now. Some of my staff's families has to get evacuated. So yeah, I can understand the situation. Okay.
The other thing real quick, if they can, to put on the minutes for the notes,
Mhm.
Why did they not use New Mexico True for social media? It's not mentioned in there.
Okay.
Okay, and I want that noted in the minutes.
Okay. Any other comments on holiday home tour? Were those comments applicable to both CCHP?
Yes,
Okay.
actually,
Or places of the past as well?
I looked at the whole packet that we have on. There's a number of things on here on each of these items. Why were we not using New Mexico True on these? And did we even apply for any of that funding or any of their resources for any of these events that are on our table right now?
Okay. All right. Hopefully we can get a presentation from them at a different time so they can answer some of the questions that we need. So we'll have to figure out a way to communicate with CCHP so that we can get those questions answered.
So real quick, I just talked to Jenny. She's one of the workers for CCHP. She is gonna give, she's gonna try getting a hold of Lawrence to see if he'll be able to call in.
Okay. So let's move on to, so we're going to move on to presentation number 3, the San Miguel Mora County Fair and Rodeo.
Hi, I'm Wanda Salazar.
Hello.
I was hoping to talk about the San Miguel Mora County Fair. We've never put in an application in the past for lodger's tax. This year we do have, we're trying to bring on a youth rodeo to San Miguel County or to the city of Las Vegas. And this youth rodeo is open to everyone within the state. And so it is 18 and under that will be invited. And we're hoping to get lodger's tax to help us with the advertising. It is going to be, the dates for it so far are May 14th and 15th will be the first youth series rodeo weekend. And then July 16th and 17th. And then the finals will be August 12th, which will happen during the county fair. The activities, I believe there's 6 different activities that the kids can participate in. We're trying to get sponsorship for buckles and saddles, for breast collars to give out as prizes. The whole thing is being supported by the county fair because the fairgrounds will be used, and also because we're asking that the finals be held during the county fair. And so I think it's a good activity that we're trying to bring into San Miguel County and to Las Vegas. And we could really use some help on trying to advertise and get the word out, printing out flyers and so forth. The other thing is county fair itself also needs ways to try to advertise in the community. Our new president wants to actually print out booklets for people, and so we also need for advertising for that as well. And so any questions?
Yeah. Number 1, where's your breakdown of how you're going to plan to spend this money?
I'm sorry, can you tell me again? I'm kind
You
of out
have
here.
no breakdown on how the money is going to be spent. It's a blank sheet where you're going to be using your money. We need to have a budget, and there's no budget on here. I would highly suggest you talk to Susie from the Arts Council. She's put out a really good application. She could help you with on budgeting and where the monies can go for media, what type of media you're looking for, your 65-mile radius that you have to use, or you don't have to, but it's recommended because it's in the application. Because this application it doesn't give us anything to tell us where you're putting this money. And we have to know how this money is being spent.
Okay, so the hope is to print out a lot of material and disperse, because there's a lot of people. Yes, there is social media, but I think a lot of people in this community, advertising in the Optic, maybe in some other local papers, that kind of thing is what we were thinking of.
Okay, but you didn't put it on the application.
Okay, well, I apologize.
Yeah. And so Wanda,
Description, you have absolutely nothing on the description of where newspaper, I'm going to spend $50 on newspapers. on an ad. I'm going to be printing up posters. There's nothing here to tell us how you are spending the money.
Okay, yeah, there's going to be banners and flyers that are being created right now that need to get printed. And since May 14th and 15th is the first rodeo series, the hope was to do this before, so that way we could get people to come in. And since it's a series, we really need to start this advertisement as soon as possible. So that was the purpose. It is my first time. at the time, I requested some of the county fair members to help in putting in the lodger's tax application. I did help them with a lot of the information, but how it got put together, I did not do. And so I apologize if we didn't fulfill the right format. But we still could use the help.
So Wanda,
Yes, sir.
so the idea behind filling out the packet and some of those things, and to put down the individual expenses to make sure that we're using the funds in the right way, and some of the key points as far as the printing of the banners and so on for local advertising. That's not the spirit of what the lodger's tax promotion is used for. So lodger's tax promotion, we're trying to get visitors from outside the community, and so we help you with advertising outside of the community. Some of the guidelines is 60 miles, but it could be within. But the point is from the outside in. For the local advertising, we hope that you use other fundraising methods. That's of course that can be included, but for the application of lodger's tax funds, so it would be things like radio stations, online ads, things that reach outside of the community to bring people in.
That's actually the plan. The rodeo series is open to every youth in the state of New Mexico. It's not just San Miguel County. So my daughter attends a youth rodeo in Moriarty. And so the hope is that a lot of those kids will come over here.
Okay, but we do that on the application. You need to state that you are bringing people in, you know, your advertisement will reach out to those communities, Moriarty, Ruidoso, you know, wherever these kids are coming from, you got to put down, you know, where your advertisement is going to be reached. And just through saying this is telling us that, yeah, you are bringing them in, but we need it on paper.
Okay. I think she got it, but I think we lost her. So I think they've got the idea. So if we can get that communicated to her, Christina, because we lost them, is just the detail on the section of where that would be spent, and more of the specifics. I think right now for the event they just have an advertising budget for the 3K, but I don't think they have the detail of how it was exactly going to be spent. So maybe we can communicate the concerns.
What I will try and do is get her hooked up with Cindy, so Cindy can explain to her more better on an understanding on how this advertisement money goes, how it's supposed to be used, so when she can put it down on the application. Because I looked at Cindy's application, or not Cindy, Susie's, I'm sorry. It was really good. It's a good sample that we could use to show other people how to fill out an application.
Okay. Yeah. It would, especially for people that are applying that are brand new. It looks like for most of the agenda today, it's groups that have heard this over and over again, but especially for our new members, yeah, it would be good to have that type of orientation. I try to do it for as many meetings and take the time to do it to explain the whole process, and have done it several times in the past. But it would be good to have it down on paper and it be part of the application. That's definitely a good idea to orient.
I mean, it's a great opportunity. I mean, you bring in one child, you're going to bring the whole family in, and you'll be bringing in relatives too who want to come and see their family participate. You know, you bring in a child and you're going to bring in the whole family. So
Yeah.
I love the idea, but it's just, it has to be put on paper, you know, so we can approve it. I would love to give them the money, but I just need more information on it.
Okay.
What I will do is, after this, I can always contact her.
Okay.
And tell her, because we are going to be calling a special meeting towards the end of the month for approval. So I'll just talk to her and tell her what to do. So they just, when they can just fill out that one sheet, and I can give you guys that application so you guys have the breakdown.
Thank you, Christina. That would be absolutely, if you need any help, tell Susie. Susie's got it That application she filled out in this packet is a good example.
Yeah, I will. I'll help her with all of that.
Thank you.
All right. Any more questions on the rodeo? Okay, moving on to item number 4, presentation of nonprofit collaboration media marketing campaign for $65,000.
Why was this not put on an RPF?
So we'll get to that.
That's not what this is. What we are hoping to do is resurrect a past campaign that ran in Las Vegas from 2004 to 2006. When I sat on the Lodgers Tax Board, we did this campaign. This $65,000 is the same amount that we paid 18 years ago. And the Lodgers Tax okayed this that many years ago. And since no one in the city is doing any marketing for the city, we have put this together as a collaborative. And since there are close to $900,000 in Lodgers Tax funds, we think it will be money well spent.
But there are guidelines. Anything over 60,000.
Well, you did it 18 years ago, Georgina. We are basically just the drivers. Just a minute. You asked me and I'm answering you. We are basically the drivers for this. The Lodgers Tax Board can do this all by themselves, but there is no marketing going on in the city of Las Vegas. So we are trying to be the catharsis here to make something happen.
Yeah, but
Now, if you want to send out this proposal as the Lodgers Tax Board, you are welcome to do it. We have your first proposal. You have not sent out any RFPs for marketing as the Lodgers Tax Board, which is what was the customary procedure when I sat on the Lodgers Tax Board. You send out the RFPs, not individual organizations. So if the Lodgers Tax Board would like to send out an RFP for marketing, for a marketing campaign, then please have at it. But since that is not happening, we are doing this. And we would like to be funded $65,000 for a marketing campaign to do destination marketing to bring journalists from the United States and Canada to Las Vegas, as happened in 2004 to 2006. We had a 2-year contract with Geiger and Associates, and the only reason it did not continue was because it was a change in administrations. It is not my job or the jobs of the nonprofits in Las Vegas to do RFPs. It is the job of the City of Las Vegas and the Lodgers Tax Board. If you would like to do that, feel free. We are here to talk about a request for $65,000 to do a destination marketing campaign.
Yeah, so can
you answer this?
No,
I want to hear your input.
It's an order of, I need to talk right now. So if we can let me do that, that's what's going to happen. I need to keep order here. If we can't, then we can start muting people. So I wanted you to start the presentation. There's a time for the presentation and there's time for questions. So Georgina, please, I wanted them to make their presentation and then our questions come afterwards. I did mention that things like the dollar value and procurement is something that would be brought up, but that doesn't mean that they can't make their presentation for what they want to do. We would have to ask those questions with the city on how that would work for the dollar value, since it's over 50,000, how that would work. I don't know how it's worked in the past, but we need to make sure that we can do it. So please go ahead with your presentation and we'll have questions afterwards.
The presentation is fairly straightforward. If you all read the application, it's a request not for an event, but for a marketing campaign. And it is to bring travel writers to Las Vegas and familiarize them with what we have to offer as a year-round travel destination. We're looking at this as a pilot project to start with a 1-year campaign. The people who have done this in the past, and actually, Krutik, I don't remember whether it was your father or your brother who was on the Lodgers Tax Board with me at the time when we did hire Geiger the first time. Geiger will provide administrative services, media tour implementation, reporting, collateral material development, and measurement and evaluation of results. They did a marketing campaign for, I think it was a Wisconsin town. It was a multi-year campaign. It was a 14-year campaign. They brought 1,072 journalists who generated 2,432 travel articles that reached 4.4 billion consumers across all editorial content. And that coverage was equivalent to $32.2 million in paid advertising. The point behind this destination marketing campaign is that it has been proven that folks who read editorial content on a destination are more likely to visit that destination than if they just see paid advertising. And so that is what is behind this type of campaign. As I said, the administration, they will talk to the people in town to put together a campaign. They'll visit for a planning meeting. They'll evaluate the campaign objectives, refine the strategy, review progress. They'll develop a comprehensive media list. And then after that gets sent out, these people have been working with travel writers for, I think, 35 years. They've at least been in the business. They target media, they send invitations, they track journalists, they secure airline sponsorship for each participating journalist. They will coordinate the activities. Each itinerary is specific to that journalist. So it is very much tailored. They will coordinate ground transportation, and they do follow up with the media and with the industry partners. They will secure all copies. This is the reporting. When I sat on Lodgers Tax, every time we had a meeting, we would get 1 inch to 3 inches of copies of articles that had been written about Las Vegas. They'll determine the dollar value of the coverage that they've gotten in terms of its equal in paid advertising, and they will develop a report for the results. They also develop collateral materials. They distribute media releases. They review what we have locally for pictures of Las Vegas, and they will distribute all these kinds of materials in response to requests for editorial information. And then after the event has happened, and they bring travel writers twice a year, they will determine which media outlets covered Las Vegas, how many of those outlets actually did targeted editorial coverage, and they will also determine the value of the airfare and the editorial equivalency in terms of advertising dollars, and they'll review the tourism-related tax collections. All this for the bargain price of $65,000. And all of the results from the previous campaign are in the City of Las Vegas records.
It should be pointed out, one of the details is that it is not a group tour. They come and they have, each journalist has their own itinerary. So that's one of the major things that the Geiger and Associates puts together is itinerary for each journalist. And then they publish all over the world. And as a matter of fact, I got an email from Debbie Geiger this morning. It says, I have a journalist from NPR who would like to come to do a series of broadcasts as soon as we can accommodate him. We could possibly have him come at the same time. Anyway, we've worked with him for many years, and he's very productive with his interviews with many local businesses. And she's going to send me a link so we can look at his archive of coverages. So if we want to hit the ground running, we can have a guy from NPR here 2 weeks from now.
The other buy-in is that both local restaurants and hoteliers will put up the journalists. So I remember one article from the last time around, a picture of the Plaza Hotel bar with Mike Trujillo in his cowboy boots and hat sitting at the bar. And that made a full page and a half, full pages of the New York Times. It works. John was running the Plaza Hotel the last time this happened. There is other anecdotal evidence where people who had read these various articles would come into a restaurant specifically asking for whatever menu item had been on the restaurant menu or in the article, what restaurant menu had been in the article. So we know that this type of marketing works, and we are eager to do it again.
Okay. All right. I mean, I'll give time for everyone to ask questions here, but just a comment on the earlier for lodger's tax. For my preview, I don't think that it's the job of lodger's tax to create an RFP. We would need some of the assistance, but go ahead. And we're not asking you to do an RFP as well.
Right. I'm just saying that you may want to speak with Elmer Martinez, who is familiar with this entire protocol.
At those times, we definitely assisted as far as what we wanted to scope of work, but actually writing the RFP, we would need some of that expertise on our board. So usually we'd have assistance with the city saying, hey, this is the scope of work we need. Please, city, send out an RFP.
Yeah, but nobody works in community development anymore, Krutik. So you may have to take the bull by the horns if you would like to spend your marketing dollars before they run out to market the city of Las Vegas.
That's definitely the struggle. So I applaud that you guys are taking the initiative to drive, because that's what we've struggled with, is simply getting an RFP out. So you're correct on that. I would definitely, as a larger tax board member, would want to see that go out so we can go through the RFP and approve the process. But that's been the struggle, is getting an RFP out. It went from an RFP to having a committee that could do it. That committee didn't work out for us, so we're back at an RFP. The reasons for RFP that keeps being communicated with me is dollar values on some of these. But not all of it's for dollar value. Some of it's we wanted to make sure that we have some level of competition for services. But as far as this goes, we have zero as far as marketing services, and so I'm happy to see presentations come in that can maybe fill some of the void while we do get an RFP out.
You know what, Krutik, you might, if there's anybody in the city who can find past records, you may find this original RFP within the city records.
That's been mentioned by me before, is that I wish this wasn't so hard. We should just be able to pull out RFPs from the past and get them out. So for various reasons, maybe some of the reasons that you also mentioned, I mean, personnel is key. So that's been some of the struggle with it. I as the chair would like a lot more assistance, and we've had that in the past, and we've had RFPs put out in the past. So it's something that the board itself has struggled with too. And you're right, I'd have to write the RFP myself if we wanted to an RFP go out.
Apropos of that, the real question here, I mean, logistics aside, the question here is, are we going to let another summer season go by without marketing the city of Las Vegas? And that is the broader picture here.
Yeah.
And maybe Leo can write an RFP, maybe Leo can hire a consultant to write an RFP, or because by the time these wheels get in motion,
just one.
It's October.
You're correct. So just one clear question: if we had to do this right now, you have it at 65,000.
That is her price. Yes.
If you had to do it,
Can I bring up 2 points? That is actually.
let me finish.
That's actually 10,000 less than what we paid 20 years ago.
That's fine.
Because my poor memory remembered 65, and when she looked it up, it was actually 75. But she said take the 65.
Can it be done for $59,999.99? Can it be done for that?
Probably.
Okay, then we could get it executed immediately. We eliminate some of these things. So let's see if we can do that. If not, then I need to go back with city and say, hey, I understand that these are some of the things that were done in the past, but this is what I'm being told now. But
Can we have 59,995 instead of 59,990?
as long
I
as
mean,
it's
if we're going to negotiate with her, I got to negotiate with you.
right.
Yeah.
So So if we can get to that, then let's see. But that was my question on there. You're correct. Somebody needs to be marketing at some point. We are in April. By the time we approve, we're going to be going forward, and we don't have it. It's not to say that we're not marketing at all. The New Mexico True campaign is still running. Those are things are still going. I just want everyone to keep in mind when we're trying to do these other things to remember the existing marketing. New Mexico True is very much part of the state marketing as well. So if
Can
it's-
I ask you a question? Because I think Georgina asked it. Has the city of Las Vegas applied for the state 2-to-1 match? Because if they haven't, the deadline was April 8th. And the co-op advertising. So we need to, so you need to know this as well. Has the city applied for this? Because it's a major lost out opportunity if that did not happen.
Of course, whenever you can't match funding that's out there, that is a lost opportunity.
To answer your question, yes, the city has submitted an application to New Mexico True.
Great, good news.
And met the
Okay.
deadline.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so there's the answer there for New Mexico True on that. That was the end of my question. I'll let the other board members chime in, Georgina or Shauna.
Okay, a lot of this stuff that you're asking for on this New Mexico True, so are we not doing the same thing with if we get the grant from New Mexico True? So
Not a fam tour. New Mexico True is advertising. This is PR. This is public relations. This is destination marketing, bringing journalists here to write editorial content about Las Vegas, New Mexico.
So
It is not a New Mexico.
Can you be quiet for a moment? I have a question. Anything that they write and we pay for, do we keep any of that stuff? Is it now the city's property that they can use for something else?
No, these are independent journalists. They do this for a living. What we are paying for is the facilitation of bringing the folks to the city with individual tours so that they can specialize. For example, if there's a person that specializes in historic tours, then they would publish in the various historically oriented magazines. That's how they make their living.
So
But
then
this
it's copyrighted and we cannot reuse that for anything else, even though we paid for them to come here and do something.
It depends. If you ask for permission, sometimes you will be allowed to reproduce something with copyright permission. Depends on the individual journalist. And these are freelancers and they make their living by selling their work. They're not going to come here unless they think that they can sell what they're going to write.
Hey, so
Hey, Shauna.
Las Vegas First is going to, it says on at the bottom of the presentation, it said they're going to pay for flights and lodging and.
No, Geiger gets the lodging, Geiger gets the flights. What we will need, like we did in 2004 to 2006, are have the lodgers put the journalists up and the restaurants feed them breakfast and dinner.
Okay. Sorry, I just.
No, that's okay.
Okay.
It's a lot to read.
No, I think it's a great plan of action. I would be in support.
So just the specific song on within that 65,000, we're paying for just because we're paying for the creation of content. Is that gonna be clear?
No, you're paying for Geiger and Associates to create this basically fam tour. That's what they call it in the hotel and hospitality, a fam tour.
Okay.
We're paying them to create it and to administer it.
Yeah, and again, they create individual itineraries for each individual journalist. So that whatever area they specialize in, they will see the things that apply to that. And again, it's a coordination contract is what it is. They locate the writers, they know the writers or the journalists or radio journalists, whatever they are, and they know what they're interested in, and they create a tour just for them. And for example, the NPR journalist, he is a broadcast journalist, and he would come and do interviews here and then air them on NPR.
Okay, and the promotion of said tour, is there self-promoting, or part of this is promoting that created tour?
I don't understand. Say that again. I'm sorry.
So I mean, you're creating a tour,
Right.
is I'm hearing. And so as far as the promotion of that tour itself, is that something additional, or it's going to be within this?
No, you're missing the concept here.
Okay.
Geiger and Associates,
Mhm.
they do destination marketing PR. So they've been working with journalists all throughout the United States and Canada. So what they do is they say, we hire them and they say, okay, we're going to market Las Vegas, New Mexico to these travel journalists. They come here, they talk to us, they want to know what do we have. Now these people are familiar with Las Vegas already, so the learning curve is not as steep as it could have been. So they then say, all right, they create a press release, a press kit, they send it out to journalists that they think would be interested in coming here. They find out who these people are, they facilitate getting them here, they facilitate creating an individual itinerary. If you have somebody, like John said, who's interested in history, they will do that. If they have somebody who's interested in the outdoors, they'll take them to the Pecos Wilderness if it's not already crispy. If you have somebody who's a fisherman, they'll take them to Pecos, they'll take them, they used to take them to McAllister. That's dead. The point is that based on who says, yes, I want to come to Las Vegas, they will develop an individual itinerary for that particular journalist. Now, there may, of course, be a hop on, hop off. Like, let's say there's 15 journalists coming, and the very first thing they'll do is put them on a city bus, and they'll take them around Las Vegas, and they'll give them the history of Las Vegas. Okay? But then they will take them out and show them what is specific to their interests. And so that's how that works. And then they follow up with the journalists. They track to see what journalist wrote something that appeared in what magazine. And we get all of that feedback.
We get copies of those articles.
I mean, trees died for the last campaign.
So you're hoping that you get some big fishes, right? If you could attract somebody out of so if it's a magazine, you want it to be high print. If it's a website, you're hoping they have high traffic. They're going to write an article about us.
Right. And it's so specific that, and the point is that what the journalists write about is so niche that there is a following. If somebody writes about going out to McAllister and seeing more bald eagles than they've seen in their lifetime, that's going to show up in a birding magazine. And those people are going to be interested in that. It's not a shotgun approach. It's much more dedicated than that.
And Geiger has these contacts.
Can I say something, please, now?
They do have these contacts,
Oh,
yes.
Nancy, isn't that what the city analytics did? The analytics gave us a whole detailed information about who was looking at what, who was doing what.
You know what, Georgina? I don't know, but here's the thing. There have been so many attempts to put together, we've hired Cindy Collins, what was the name of that people? North Star. We've hired so many people to do this for us. To give us the information so it could be done, and it's never been implemented. That whole North Star, the only thing we saw from the North Star money that we spent was that the city changed the logo on its cars and on its letterhead.
Right.
You know, that little logo that it looks like a guitar.
So North
That's
Star,
all we saw from that campaign.
Right.
So this campaign is ready to go because the people who do this, they're not first of all, they've done it for Las Vegas to begin with, and they're not recreating the wheel.
Right. So what would be their report to us? So North Star gave us a whole lot more than the logo. And actually before
And
North
I read it and none of it got implemented, Crew Tech.
None of
I've got it right here in my file.
You're exactly right. North Star warned us to not take this on, and actually they were kind of picky on what city they would choose.
What we've got is we get
Because,
this.
Yeah, this is what we get from Geiger. This is
Right.
something like 50 this is copies of everywhere anything showed up about, this is Wisconsin. This is East Jabip, Wisconsin.
Door County.
Door County, Wisconsin.
Right.
They talked about, there's a whole big thing here on off-season advertising. There's a whole thing on the cherries that they grow in Wisconsin.
So what would their report be after this is done? What do they show you?
Well, if you look at the application, it will tell you what they measure and what they report. And the reporting isn't, how do I want to say it? You know, there's a beginning and an end, but these articles live on. The ones that show up in magazines. And so if you want to know what they will do, they will get all copies of editorial coverage, which is what John just showed you. They'll let us know what that editorial coverage equaled in paid advertising dollars. Okay?
Right.
So, which we could never afford. We could never afford that kind of placement. They'll give us a report.
What are the solid deliverables?
Georgina, if you read this application, it's all there. The deliverables are all there. Column inches, exactly. If you look on the second and third pages and the fourth pages of this application, those are all what they will do. Those are the deliverables. The deliverables are every time they get, besides the administrative deliverables, the bottom line is every time an article gets placement in the New York Times, in the Wall Street Journal, in Women's Wear Daily, in in Colorado Today or New Jersey Monthly, they're going to send you a copy of that so you can see how that journalist, they came, they saw, they wrote, and it made it into print. It made it onto social media now. It made it into the ether. Those what we're asking them to do right here in the application, page 2, 3, and 4. Those are the deliverables.
Yeah, I just wanted you to. I brought it up so you can explain that. So I just wanted to be clear. I did see it there. I just wanted to make it as clear as possible. And then you had also brought up the North Star. I just wanted to bring up, hey, once we get this done, we have a clear picture, and yes, you have an application that, hey, what are we doing with it going forward? I don't know. We're collecting some money, so maybe we would have, if it goes really well, we would have the money to place some of these things at the end.
But see, the nice thing about this is we don't have to place anything. They place it themselves because that's how they make a living.
The journalist sells their article to a magazine.
I have a question for Leo. Is Leo still on?
Yes, well, his logo is.
Yes, ma'am, I'm here.
Leo, this is Georgina calling. My question is on this. All of these so-called deliverables that they have, will the city be able to use any of that material for its own personal use on its, if they want to create something themselves on a website or advertise, or is that all, do we have access to it? Because
Leo can't answer that question.
I believe that would be a copyright question that we would have to ask the company if they're going to give it to us in digital format or what kind of format they allow us to use.
then I would highly suggest that we put something on that application on here, because we're paying $65,000 or whatever. We should have something that we can keep in our archives, that we can reproduce as city. Otherwise, we pay for something and it's a one-time deal, because then we
Regina,
have to ask
excuse me,
for
it is not Excuse me, excuse me.
Nancy, no, I'm not finished. Do you mind?
Yes, I do, because what you're saying is not true.
Finished. Can you mute her, please? Thank you. Leo, because the last couple of marketing people that we had, we didn't have anything that we could keep, that we could use as a city. It was all, it belonged to the company, the marketing company. We have to ask permission for something.
So it's two different things. I mean, but that's my next question. So for the last company, that was Cisneros, and unfortunately, that should have been written into the contract. So Cisneros built a website for us, and they were able to take that website because, in essence, we didn't write into the contract that the city owned that website. So we basically lost the website after that contract ended. Just the question here, and simple: if we wanted to look, you have writers that will write, but essentially, I mean, for copyright, you would think it belonged to those individual publications. But if it's a really popular thing, those references would like to be made in the future, like, hey, we were mentioned in so-and-so magazine, or this quote from so-and-so magazines. But if we run into copyright issues for that in future campaigns, that would be a question. So it's something that we could ask as part of this campaign, if Geiger or so on, hey, do some of these copyright issues come up? And what are the answers to them? So it's a fair question.
Crew Tech, this is Scott Aaron, the city attorney. A couple of things here. You're going to run into copyright issues if we're asking to be able to control somebody else's intellectual property. But what we can probably do with their permission is link to it. So we could link from our website. We could link from our social media at the city. So there would be a way that we could work with them to I mean, that's in addition to whatever paper copies somebody wanted to run off for themselves. But another issue here that I want to bring up while we're still on this topic before we get too far away from it. I know there was discussions about what this board used to do in the past and years past regarding RFPs. But the ordinance is very, very clear that it's only city council that can contract for the management of programs and activities funded with the revenue from lodgers tax. So if this board's going to have to work with the city, at least for right now. We have 3 certified procurement officers here at the city, the finance director, the deputy finance director, and then of course Helen Vigil is also and she's the primary procurement officer, and she's certified as well. So we got 3 people that are certified, and procurement's the real big sticky thing that we're gonna have to make sure that gets jumped through for this RFP. So anyway, just to bring everybody's attention to it, whether we end up going with this particular Geiger, whoever them, it sounds like they have a good program, or if this ends up going out to someone else, either way, in order for the lodgers tax board to do any type of RFP activity, it would have to get some type of explicit instruction to do so as an agent of the city council. So happy to work with you guys and smooth that out and get that going, because it sounds like there's a good program here. But just to let you guys know, we are going to have to adhere to the technicalities. I know in years past that didn't happen, but this city council is not going to permit that kind of sloppy things that happened in the past. So we're tightening all that stuff up because it's affecting us from an audit perspective. So we're happy to work with you guys, and we can open up the channels. I realize community development doesn't have a director right now, so that's something that some people have already mentioned. But that doesn't mean that that we can't work together and get these things done. We just gonna have to have everybody else pitch in a little bit more, since community development director doesn't exist right now. So I just wanted to throw that in the mix and say that on City Hall's side, we're happy to help. We just everyone just needs to realize that we're gonna have to jump through some hoops.
Yeah.
So Scott, real quick, Scott, there's a second one on the agenda, which is for $95,000. So it's going to go the same route as the first one that we're just finishing talking about.
Well, if it's 60,000 or more, then it does have to go out for. We have to get 3 bids for it, or it's got to go out. It's got to go out for public bid. But just so you guys know, the city's already put together an RFP of its own for marketing and advertising and a visitor's guide. So I know there was some comments made that nothing's being done, but I think there might be some things being done that just haven't been made publicly known. So, there's stuff going on, and we can continue to work towards these things. But yeah, something that's 60,000 or over, it's got special rules that apply to it.
Scott, so as far as advertisements goes, I mean, I know we need to do proper procurement. That's why coming out, I was like, I'm not sure what's happened in the past, but we do want to follow it this time. But are there, I mean, I have people telling me that there's exemptions to procurement, and is advertising one of those exemptions?
We have 3 certified procurement officers that work for the city.
Yeah.
And I suggest that all questions be directed towards them because that's their area of certification and expertise and training. It's not mine. I just know that it's very easy to violate, and so you have to be particularly careful. So I would point you towards the finance director, the deputy finance director, or our procurement officer, Helen Vigil. Either 3 of them should be able to get you pointed in the right direction.
Okay. Look, folks, I don't see an issue. We are collecting money right now. We do have funds, so I don't see why there wouldn't be an issue with parallel marketing going on. This marketing along with the city marketing, we would probably look into if there's any duplication of efforts that would be copied. But I'm happy to hear that yes, on the city level, there's something being worked on that's going to be sent out, that the individual groups in the city have decided to do it on their own. That's awesome. And I just want to make that clear. We have the funds to do something. If we can do something the right way and with the right procurement rules in place, I think there's something we could do. It's better than doing nothing. So if we're following the rules and we do it all in the right way, let's do this. It's going to be easier. It's harder to get this going. I applaud the work that you guys put in, but it's easier to try to see how we can't do it versus how we can say, no, come on, let's do this. I think we could figure out, I mean, it's a good presentation. I think whatever details need to be done, we can ask the remaining questions. With the 3 procurement officers, let's work with them to see what can be done. At the end of the day, if it's quicker, if it's that $59,999, let's do it. We have the funds that's here. But that's me speaking. The other boards, there are other board members that have their opinion, but that's mine. We do have other things on the schedule that we need to talk about, so we need to move forward. Are there any other questions on this presentation?
I would just like to see these procurement people maybe possibly come on this one of these meetings so we can get more clarification instead of arguing and yelling over each other, because the rules, we didn't make them. They're already done. We just have to abide by them. So it sounds like this is out of our league for right now.
Okay. Shauna, you had a question? You didn't? Oh, I'm sorry. Okay. We're going to move on to the next item. Thank you guys for the presentation. So we're moving on to presentation of Gay Pride celebration for the city of Las Vegas.
Gay Pride.
So if I'm not mistaken, Chuck had to leave. He has the films going on and there's a situation coming up, so he had to leave to go deal with that.
Okay.
So all of the ones, the Gay Pride, the Firefighter one, the Fiestas, and the Salute to Troops, those are going to be Chuck. We have to probably wait till he gets back to do those presentations. I know for Fiesta, Salute to Troops, and I know Gay Pride, me and Chuck were working on getting advertising because on the application, there wasn't much on the application, but I know me and him were working on getting quotes to advertise those. And I think he's back to talk now.
Yes. Yeah, I'm back. I'm sorry. Yes, for Gay Pride and a lot of the other ones, we have reached out to media like KOB, KRQE. We're reaching out to them. They are working on packages to send me back, and they have not as of yet. I've been in contact with them today, and they are working on a package to send me so we can present to you. But the whole purpose is to advertise on their news stations and get the word out through that way, and as well as radio, print, and the electronically, so through websites.
And you had the breakdown on the 5K.
Well, it should. I mean, I put mass media, radio, print, and that the amounts I can't give you because they have not submitted them to me as of yet.
Okay.
But I mean, it would obviously I can't go over the 5,000. So
yeah,
I'm hoping that it comes within that line, and I've let them know our parameters, our budget for that, and that's where I stand.
Okay.
Well, I don't have anything on here other than lodgers tax impact information number 1.1. No, there's nothing else filled in. Chuck, I don't have any kind of a breakdown or anything. It's.
Well, I couldn't give you a breakdown because I don't know it till the news those stations give me back how they would divide the. Did you?
Your media, your
I can't understand what you're saying, Georgina. I was trying to answer your question. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Go.
I can't give you the breakdown till I get it back from KRQE, KOB, and those stations as how they were, because they were going to break it down between commercials and electronic media and that way. So once I get it back from them, then I will be able to supply that to you. As of now, I don't have that information.
Shauna, you had your hand up.
Is this this is gonna be for the parade, or is it gonna be more extensive than that?
Well, Gay Pride is going to be 2 days. It'll be September 23, 24. We were looking at having 2 days of events for that. The Firemen's Conference, we just wanted to get the word out for the volunteers because it's 100 years. Volunteer firefighting started in Las Vegas 100 years ago. So this would be their anniversary conference. So we were trying to get that word out for that. And that's why we wanted to do media for that one. The Fiesta is the same thing. We're trying to go through radio, print, and digital.
Do we have? Sorry, go ahead, Joe. But do we have dollar amounts for the? We have 5,000 for Gay Pride, or did you mean for all of these? Do we have dollar amounts for firefighter and then for Fiestas?
Well, my understanding was we couldn't go over 5,000, so I was going to go for 5,000 each one.
Okay, I know in the past that council has approved more. And that they're always willing to do so. So each one of those, you're asking for 5, but we don't have the details on how it's going to be spent. Okay, so usually we get those details just so we could go through the to make sure that we're doing the right advertising, that it's outside, if we're, that it's not used for local funding, but to bring in outside marketing and so on. So if those things are clear, if they're materialized, that would be good. And ultimately, we want the plan to kind of be in place for the application. Is that something we can get solid? I mean, maybe not pricing, but at least where the details of what at least some details of what the budget's going to be.
Yeah, and I wanted to include that. But if we're going to go with KRQE and those stations, then I would have to put those down. And if their prices are too high, then it's kind of a moot point to put it down on the application. So that was my whole point with that. I mean, if I put it down and then their price comes back way out of bounds, then it can be included, correct?
Yeah. So, but you can make sure that it's meant for outside.
Right. Well, the 5,000 would be for mass media, for radio, print, and hopefully news stations.
Okay.
Mr.
I
Bhakta,
think,
if I may interrupt here, when is the next meeting? When you actually do the approval of each item?
Well, we were gonna we'd have to set up a special meeting because the next quarterly meeting would be after the council meeting. So we'll have to set up a special meeting to address approval.
So the special meeting that I'm gonna call will be on April 26th, which is the last Tuesday of this month. That would give us enough time to get whatever applications go on to approval, whatever applications get approved, that would give us time to send them to council for the second meeting in May.
Okay.
Hey,
So
Chuck,
that being
who is-
said, Chuck and I will get the breakdown of each of those $5,000 from each of the publication outfits that he's proposing to go with. So that way it's all in that packet by the time you come back to this meeting.
Okay.
And don't forget though, fiestas and salute to troops are the exceptions that can go over the 5,000.
Right. That was addressed through both the Lodgers Tax and Council that we had set aside those two as if the council wanted could go above our cap there.
Chuck, who's the organizer for the Pride weekend? Who's doing putting it?
I am.
Oh, okay, nice. I wasn't sure if you were just okay,
Mhm.
cool. Yeah,
It's
Pride had an amazing momentum before COVID. I think it was one of, for the size of this place, a really, really big event. So
Right.
it had great momentum in 2019. So it's exciting to see it coming back, hopefully bigger and better.
Thank you.
I have a question on the fiesta and then the salute to the troops. Those two are the only two, the exception. What is the actual limit? Is there a limit on that, we can't go over? Is,
No, that limit
We
was
can
never
go
set
over
for.
5,000, but then how high can you go on those?
I believe as long as we have a budget for it, and it meets the criteria, we can go
Oh, no,
above however much it
Oh,
is.
we see. Oh, it's 6.5.
However much it is, so it could go up to what? 100,000? Is that what you're saying?
So as long as it meets the criteria to lose the marketing and promotions of it, if it comes out to say 60,000, we can do that because that is the exception of it. And then it is a city event because then Chuck will be setting out everything. It's not, Chuck's the one that will be marketing it. He's the one that will set everything up. So that's our exception to market it of those two.
And then we also, we also need to look in as far as rules go, because we did set a budget. And so when we go considerably higher outside of it, then we need to see how that would work going forward. And that's something I can't answer, but we have set an event budget with last year's budget. We'll be doing it again for next fiscal year's budget. And so if we go out of budget, what are the procedures for that? That's something that we would need to look into. So to me, the line item for event marketing, that budget going over it would be some of the limits, but maybe that's something finance can answer. If we haven't budgeted for it, how does that work?
Yeah, because if you look at us right now, if we go with even half of what they're asking on those other two marketing plans, and then this,
Could
I'm
possibly,
looking at what our grand totals are going to be with everything included, with all of these, the big items that people are wanting to get, the big marketing.
right. So we'd have to figure out what that would be. I mean, a lot of the marketing is happening in next fiscal year, so we would set it for our next budget. I'm just bringing that up, but we did set aside 150,000 in this year's budget that we haven't used for a marketing campaign. So that line item is left to be used. All right. Okay, so we'll get the details on that. Is there any other questions on 7 through item 7 through 10? Okay. If not, I need to go back. I made a mistake. We skipped to 7. We have items 5 and 6 that needed to get to. That was a presentation for nonprofit collaboration marketing campaign for 95,000. We went right over that.
I hope that was on purpose, Chairman.
No. It wasn't. I looked at it and I went right over it. I realized it during this presentation. I apologize.
No, I'm just kidding. Can we go ahead then?
Yeah, go ahead with that presentation. I shouldn't have missed it.
Okay, thank you, Chairman Baca, members of the Lodgers Tax Committee. I'm Elmo Baca. I'm here with Philip Martinez, and we're representing a consortium of 5 of our local nonprofit organizations, which include the Chamber of Commerce, Las Vegas First, the Las Vegas Arts Council, Main Street de Las Vegas, and the Las Vegas Community Foundation. And we're submitting a proposal for a comprehensive marketing campaign for the city in the amount of $95,000. I do want to acknowledge some of our other committee members who've worked hard on this proposal, who are here present at this meeting, including Cindy Collins, Susie Sciati, Michael Peranto, Meredith Britt, and Nancy Colalillo. And I'm sure if there's any questions that come up, any of us can answer those questions. I'm sure you'll recall that our group approached the city last fall when the Plaza and Bridge Street district was under construction and closed to traffic. We were very concerned about the survival of our business district. We approached the city council and the Lodgers Tax Committee for funding support for a campaign to help us promote the community during the holiday season. We feel that the campaign was successful, and we had great results from advertising in local markets, including Raton, Santa Fe, Taos, Albuquerque. Many of our merchants did see an increase in traffic during November and December. And so we are encouraged by that success to put forth this proposal for another campaign to promote the community in a similar fashion hopefully from May through December. So we're asking for $95,000. I just want to note that I did hear some of the discussion about procurement, and I think we can adjust our proposal accordingly. Basically, our proposal is in 2 parts. We want to engage a professional graphic marketing relations communications firm to assist the community in putting forth a effective message to visitors to our community about all that we have to offer. We do recommend Sunny 505, a marketing firm that was recommended to us by actually another leading marketing firm. So that's one part of our proposal, $35,000 to hire Sunny 505. The other part of our proposal is approximately $60,000 for radio, television, and digital media campaigns for the community. That's basically our proposal. I'd like to ask Philip to just add a few notes about fiscal agency and the support from the chamber.
Right. So, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, I'm Philip Martinez. In case you don't know me, I'm the president of the chamber. But I met with these other organizations, and we've been talking, and what we'd like to do is actually the dollars go through the chamber, for approval of everything that we spend on, and we would be the fiscal agent for this project. We'd set it up in a different account and everything, and have some bylaws of how we're going to spend this money, which I think we've made pretty clear already. Another thing that I've asked these other organizations is to actually try to help some of the other businesses that may not be in the Old Town and Railroad districts, just kind of spread it out a little bit. And so that's what we would like to do, even though indirectly it does help the other businesses, but we would like to spread it around a little bit.
If I can just follow up on Philip's comments, we're all volunteers, and administering this kind of a budget would be a lot of work for us. And so that's why we've been asked Philip and the chamber to help us administer a project of this scale. And so we're really grateful for the chamber's support and Philip's participation with us. We think we have a real solid group of organizations that really want to promote the community. We think this is a great time coming into what's going to be a busy tourism season to get our name out there in whichever way we can. I think that's all I want to say. I don't know if any of our committee members want to say anything, but we're certainly open for questions.
Okay, Elmo, so to be clear, you guys, so the chamber is going to handle the radio and print placements
Right.
for 40,000, and then so somebody at the chamber, and then Sunny 505 will just handle the website and would take over the city of Las Vegas, social media. Is that
Well,
kind of
part of our plan is if we can engage Sunny 505, they'd actually come to the community and have some meetings with us, including lodgers tax and city council and city staff, to kind of develop a strategic plan for the placement of the ads and go over with us, the appropriate images that we want to use and the slogans that we want to use. So it's really, the chamber will be paying the bills, but it'll be directed by a strategic plan that we come up with the marketing agency.
Okay, thank you.
So I'm looking at the budget on the financial information. So you have marketing guidance, graphic design, and implementation by Sunny 505 for $35K.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, and implementation. So does that contain some ad placements?
Chairman, there's a couple of budgets. The one budget that you were looking at, yes, there's 35,000 for marketing guidance, graphic design, and implementation from Sunny 505, and then there's 60,000 for the actual advertising. And there's a separate budget a little bit later in the proposal where you can see the actual expenses that are being proposed for Sunny 505 for their work. And that also includes some advertising within their scope of work.
So the digital media and the TV advertising that's actual placements, or that's not the creation of, but that's actual placements. So like the 8,500 for digital media advertising, is that a placement or the creation of?
I believe that's a placement, Chairman.
Okay, so 8,500 and 5,000 for TV. So percentage-wise, the actual out of the 35, a good portion of it is actual placement out of the 35. Am I correct on that? It seems like 10 is used for the actual production, but the rest is all placement.
I would agree. It looks like about $18,000 is actual placement, and the rest would be planning and design.
Okay.
Production.
Oh, your budget here, it says, I'm looking at it. You're 35 for the 505, Sunny 505. Is that,
Yes.
Is that it? Any of that? Is that administration?
I suppose within there, Georgina, there is administration. But you know, there's a more detailed budget for their work. I think some of their fees are for administration and actual production of the ads. Administration is not separately broken out, so I can't really tell you how much that'll be.
Crew Tech, when we disperse or agree to give money, it's all for marketing, correct? It's not for administration?
People generally don't work for free, Georgina.
I know they don't, but I don't make the rules on that, on the marketing. I'm just,
Well, so on the contractual services, you can. So but typically, even in the contractual services, this has come up in the past where I think it came up for Cisneros where we felt that there was an enormous amount of money being spent on administration versus actual placement. So that's why I asked for this one. I mean, it looks there's like within this money, there's a good amount for actual placement. And so because it's contractor services, it's okay. I mean, this is something we can do. I could stand corrected, but that's something that we've done in the past. It's just we've always wanted them to watch out for, and that's for our value and for the city's value to make sure that we aren't just losing it all to administration, that we were actually getting some placement out there. So out of the breakout for 7505, I see, again, for the advertising, if this is all, but it's 5K for social media. Now, if they're saying, I don't know if that's actual posts, but if they're saying there's administrative costs to within that 5,000, then that's the details we'd have to find out for it. Or if there's a cost within that digital media advertising of 8,500, if there's an administrative cost within that, then that's what we would need to know, or if that's all marketing. So those are the questions that we could, if we had for any details, that's what we would do. But typically what we'd want is a good portion of the budget to be placement, or that's our hopes of.
Chairman, I think we could ask Sunny 505 for further refinement of this budget if you really want to know, what the administrative cost will be.
So that's Sunny. So there's some placement even within Sunny, and then you have radio and print placements. Is that using some of the same things from Sunny?
I believe so, yes.
Okay. And so equally so for television, social media. So that is that just continuous? Who would be the creators? Is that Sunny out of those, or is that other creators on that? Unless I missed it in the
no, Sunny would be the primary production agency.
Okay. All right. As far as, and I've mentioned this in the past, as far as the focus of the campaign and local shopping, I mean, again, the main focus is to visitor shopping. Is that, could I say that as correct on where these are being placed?
Yes, well, to be honest, our intent is twofold: to put heads in beds and also to ring up our cash registers.
Right. I mean, and of course, yeah. And so the again, it's going back to the lodger's tax, the thing, of course, but the reach of these ads of each of these placements is outside of our local area, correct?
Yes, that's correct. We want to reach outside of a 30-mile radius of Las Vegas.
Okay.
I thought it was 60 miles.
Or 60 would be even better.
Protech, am I correct? It's 60, right?
So 60 is the guideline. I mean, that's what we're pushing for. It's the guidelines from the New Mexico Hospitality Association.
Yeah, that's all I wanted is clarified, is that it is 60 because I don't make the rules. They're just there.
Okay. Is
So
there any other
Elmo was,
question?
I think, I asked before, but I don't remember what you guys had said. So this would take the place of City of Las Vegas website? Would this take over the domain, or this would be like a whole nother platform
Yeah.
for just an additional City of Las Vegas tourism website?
I think that Sunny 505 could be used to enhance the city's website. That's about all I can say. I don't think we're trying to create another website. I think we're trying to enhance the capacity of the tourists' the city's website.
Okay, so it would be a lot of the same stuff that's currently out there, but just the upgraded format and you know,
More efficient links,
okay.
updated
That
photographs.
sounds good.
Yeah. So
All right.
Hey, Krutik, I wanted to ask a real quick question. Christina, who's managing the city's website then as it stands? Because whatever goes out, maybe we can, work together so we get twice as much for our money here instead of repeating the same thing and paying for two different entities.
IT is the one that is doing our website right now.
So is Chuck around to ask that question?
No, IT, the IT people are doing the website right now. They're the ones that are managing it.
So IT could just funnel information to them that we want, and then they can publish it.
They should be able to.
So then we're doing duplicate.
No, it's not duplicate. It's having an actual graphic designer design the website instead of it looking like it's, out of date and not functional and all the other things.
If I may interrupt, folks, Mr. Baca, this website is primarily for marketing purposes.
City Manager Maestas, my understanding is that the city has part of the website that is devoted to visitor information. And so I think that's the area that we're talking about here, is trying to enhance the capacity of that part of the city's website.
Right. The primary focus of the Visit Las Vegas page is primarily for events, not really a marketing, because it's hard for us to market individual stores without it looking like we're tailoring it to one and not the other. So if these two websites can go hand in hand and work simultaneously for the benefit of the city, I think we can definitely move forward with that.
City Manager Maestas, it's not our intent to promote one business over another. As you heard Philip say earlier, we do want to promote the entire business community of Las Vegas. So I think we're just hoping to tweak the visitors part of the city website.
So, I mean, as far as traffic and everything goes, I mean, we would want it to work hand in hand with our own Visit Las Vegas. Some of the issues that arise is when somebody is searching for Las Vegas, we start to split up some of that traffic. So we want to have it work together. I know at the city level, I mean, for our visit site, we used to have, when it was contracted out, we would have ongoing development for it or so on. Then it went in-house to the city. I guess now it's sitting with IT. So just entering the basic information is a little different than actually having a developed or continue to be developed website. There's other items that could be on there. So, I mean, whatever we can do to enhance, I guess, traffic coming in, or if we, I mean, it should be a collaboration between Visit Las Vegas and this website if we're adding to it. But it would be great for there to be an overall plan for it. I know you guys are enhancing it, but again, there is already a website that is Visit Las Vegas that is floundering a little bit because there's not a real administrator for it or a full-time person doing it, or there was, but there's not that consistent use. So the hope is going forward that if it is that it's working together, that somebody searches Las Vegas NM, they're seeing Visit Las Vegas and they're seeing this website, that it's easily linkable. You see it, you can go from one page and say, okay, there's additional information on Visit Las Vegas, or we see it on Visit Las Vegas. There's click on this link for shopping. Hopefully we can come up with a cohesive thing there where each site can work together. That would be the hope, instead of a hodgepodge of different sites splitting up traffic.
Chairman Baca, Krutik,
Go ahead.
I see that Cindy Collins has raised her hand. I'd like to yield to her, please.
Yeah, I was gonna go right to her and then Shauna after that. So Cindy, go ahead.
Thank you, Chairman. I think we're getting off on too much about website. That would be part of their marketing advice after they meet with city staff, you guys, all of us. What is our strategy to market Las Vegas? Part of it will be website, but it's certainly not website driven. So I'd like us to not put that as, it's not an emphasis in this contract.
And I agree, Cindy. I mean, the plan is the key. To me, the plan and cohesiveness of it all is the key.
Right. I agree.
And that would go a long way. And because if we're all consuming resources individually or time, and it's not cohesive, it's not a plan, then we're making it harder for everyone. We could put these funds, we have an overall plan that helps each one of us. That's something we can do. So hopefully we can get to that point. Again, I'm happy that we're getting the presentations that we're getting to try to address some of this. Hopefully it could be help for scope of work going forward. Shauna, go ahead.
I was going through some of the Sunny 505 work that they've done in other places, and if you look the farmingtonnm.org link on the the messages that I posted, if you look at their cities like tourist page, it has basically all the same information as the Visit Las Vegas page, but it's so much more effective and, you know, put together. Like, it really does make a difference. And I know that's not the total emphasis, but you know, if we could get the city to feed a professional graphic designer this information, I think it would be well worth the $10,000.
All right. Georgina, you had your hand raised? Yeah.
My question is, a lot of this stuff, it sounds like what Shauna just said, is that they're also, it looks like we're duplicating again, because isn't that what the New Mexico True is doing also?
Well, New Mexico True is on state level. I mean, we need to get our pages for at least our community. So I always see New Mexico True, the campaign, as a co-op of sorts, and that's what they started with, is that out of the many, gathering the many into one cohesive New Mexico True campaign, which would be my hope for Las Vegas, that we gather the many here into one cohesive Las Vegas campaign. So you hope you don't duplicate efforts, but we also want those efforts to be good. At this point, the Visit Las Vegas and so on, they've kind of languished. If they're just sitting with IT, IT is IT. IT doesn't develop content or make things look pretty. They enter information. So we want the things that, you know, if we do have the visit, or if it's not Visit Las Vegas, we can enhance. And if it's another page, my hope is that it could be cohesive with the other things that we're doing. Again, just to Cindy's point, the focus isn't all on this website. So, Susie, sorry, I know you had your hands up earlier. Go ahead.
Cindy actually spent a lot more time speaking with this particular organization than I did. But I just wanted to say that there's a lot more to web, social media, and internet advertising than a website. I know that when I'm scrolling through something about the Southwest, they have a lot of ad pop-up then would just direct to the website. And that would be advertising that is as Instagram as well, and the internet. I look at reels sometimes when and every once in a while something will pop up that's to a place that I'm really connected. And so I just wanted you to know that all internet social media isn't our website. It's about strategically placing ads all over the social media universe, which is humongous. Thank you.
Okay, Georgina, did you raise your hand again, or was it?
Yeah, just real quick, it just shows that the city needs to hire to put somebody in that spot. Otherwise, all the work that we did before will go down the drain again, and we have to start all over again. And whatever social media or websites we're collaborating with, they need to work together, but the city definitely needs to put somebody in there who can, you know, be the lead on that, and those other guys collaborate with him.
That's kind of what they're attempting
Because
to do
he's
with
the face of the
you
media.
know, by hiring professional service.
But right now,
Hiring somebody in
city-
the city isn't necessarily the necessary move.
well, they have. Who's the one that's controlling it? Doesn't it all have to go through the city? Eventually, doesn't all, whatever we say do, you know, if we're paying for it, the
I mean,
is paying for this.
Visit Las Vegas, NewMexico.com. It's going to be the same content, whether it's a graphic designer creating it or the IT people. It's like, just how good do we want the website to look? Or, you know, what's the value in that?
So I know in the past we've had, and yes, I mean, the positions at the city, it's important. So a lot of the things that we're talking about went through community development, as well as having a position there that worked with lodgers tax for marketing. And within that position, there was some professionals that did digital, marketing and and design and so on. In that vacuum of, if we don't have that at the city level, then something needs to be done. And so if there's outside entities, that means we need to go outside, and we've done it in the past. So if it's Sunny that we need to go to for some of these things, again, I would like for there to be a plan for it. So if somehow that could be a coordination, or another option is to contract out for Visit Las Vegas to be outside of the administered outside of the or at least designed outside of the city. I'd just be wary about us owning the contract, but it does bring up the point. We've contracted out the website for to be designed. We've if it can't be done at the city level anymore, then that's something that needs to be certainly addressed. Michael, you had your hand up.
Yes, I just wanted to, say how supportive I am of this project. I drive around the state and I hear advertising for Carlsbad and Farmington and Raton, and I never hear advertising for Las Vegas. I look in New Mexico Magazine, I don't see advertising for Las Vegas. I don't see us doing any kind of campaign, and we do have the funds to do it, and we need to do it and get the word out there. So I'm all for this, and I think one of the greatest things Shauna said was, look at the Farmington website, Georgina, just to see the difference between what our weather looks like. Or go to Raton. Raton has a beautiful website. They're 100 miles from us. So if we could just sort of, upgrade our stuff a little bit, I think it would be incredibly useful for us. And I agree with what Elmo said. We're going to have a huge summer. We're already seeing tons of tourists in the visitor center, and it's only, April. Anyway, that's
okay. All right. Any further discussion on this item or questions? Okay. Thank you, guys. We're moving on to the next one that I forgot. I'm sorry, I also skipped. That was a presentation of Main Street infrastructure improvement for downtown Las Vegas for $40,770.
Thank you. You betcha. Thanks.
great. Cindy and I are going to be making this presentation together, and I just wanted you to know, first of all, thank you for having us today, and we're excited to talk about this. We were given the task of coming up with a plan for our street furniture, which are things like the trash receptacles, the benches, the planters, about a year and a half ago from the city manager, Bill Taylor at that time. And we started working on that. Cindy came up with a draft of a plan, and we worked on it together and did a plan that we presented to city council. And then now we've come back with what we need to do, or after doing this evaluation, we figured out kind of what needs to be done. And we put that in the proposal, and we talked about the things like that don't need to be touched, and then some things that need to be augmented, then something like the planters where we need to completely replace the planters. So I think we were pretty clear in the application, and we were clear in the budget. So I guess I'll just go. If people have questions, we're happy to answer them. Cindy, I don't know. I think Cindy I don't know if you want to add anything, Cindy.
Sure. I just want to make it really clear that all the trash cans and benches and planters we have right now are funded from donations. These are community members who chipped in $100 here and $200 there. And this is the first time we're coming to lodgers tax to ask for funds to beautify our downtown. And included in that, in our application, is $20,000 to hire someone to maintain, which we find is the hardest part. You get in a beautiful trash can and it spills over, and you might as well have not put in the trash can. So that is our request.
And this is an infrastructure. So
Are you guys still doing the presentation?
no, we just finished.
Okay, this is Georgina. I really like it. I've been on that walk. I agree on 100% on the beautification of that river walk and some of the other places that you guys have worked, putting up benches and trash cans. So when the public does use, those walkways, those thoroughways, it is a much cleaner place. So yeah, but I wanted to let Crew Tech know I have another board meeting to attend. So I have to sign off right now, but I've looked at the rest of these real quick and they're great. I like them. And the one that Susie did for the Friday al fresco, that is the one I would highly recommend to show the people for the rodeo how to fill out an application. That's the sample I would use to give to them. I think, Christina, if you're there, that's what I would recommend. But I have to go. I'm sorry, guys.
All right. Okay, it's just I just have a simple question for, and it's probably pretty straightforward. So what would be the perspective of, this would be benefit, of course, visitors coming the town, right? So we have a connection
Right,
to
so the visitors,
neighboring-
when the tourists come, they don't just go to Bridge Street and the Plaza and Douglas and wherever, but they really go there the most. And right now, the visitor center's in the train, in the railroad district. So they come here and we're gonna be putting up the wayfinding signs in June. So they'll be directed to the other places. And the planters, Cindy did a great job when she put the planters that we have right now out. And they were like $100. Main Street raised the money, it was $100 each. And she put them all over the 3 districts, but they are in really bad shape. And the new planters we're going to get are really attractive. And I just think it'll help sort of upgrade the whole area with the new street furniture, and also replacing some things that are problematic, and getting some new benches so people have a place to sit.
Mr. Parantu, if I may, are any of these furniture or planters projected to go into the Plaza Bridge Street area?
Yes.
Okay. Did you want to touch base? Did you want to kind of tell everybody the discussion we had on where we were going with possibly putting concrete planters in these areas to?
So city manager and I had a meeting last week, and he talked to me about some issues around the plaza and his idea with the planters. So we might adjust the planter part, especially in the plaza and Bridge Street area. We might adjust the planters, like the size of the planters or even the look a little bit. But basically Mr. Manasis, I figured that the proposal that we were doing, I didn't have time. So the planners we're suggesting were already approved by the Historical Preservation Division, and I haven't heard back from them on these other planners, but it would still all sort of be in the same ballpark. So, I mean, we left the one we submitted, that we submitted for the board to look at.
All right. So I'm guessing you've already, I mean, you deal with it more and than I do, as far as I mean, any procurement questions have already been asked, or that's straightforward, or is that something that needs to be looked at for this? Not a problem, since we're under the amount.
We're only spending $20,000 on items.
So within that amount, we don't need bids or anything for that amount, right?
I believe it'd still be subject to 3 quotes.
Yeah. That's what I was
Okay.
getting to. So do we need?
Sure, we'll work on the design, Mr. Maestas, and the quotes with you.
Can we talk to a procurement person just to make sure that's the case, because that's not how I understand it. But we're happy to do that if we need to.
Yeah, I am only the Lodgers Tax Board chair at the moment. If we could refer to the 3 procurement officers, that is their full-time job. But I can only point that out to make sure that, hey, those questions are
Of course. No, I get that.
Okay.
The other option would be is if one of these vendors is under either CES or a state contract.
Okay, we'll follow up on.
Isn't the ceiling $60,000 for that? Though you have to go for procurement after $60,000?
No, sir. Up to $59,999, you have to get 3 quotes. Solicit at least 3 quotes, written quotes. If you go above the 60,000, you need to go out for RFP or RFB.
Okay. Okay, well, we could,
And if you see in
Cindy,
our
we-
application, it says this is a suggested design. We didn't specify that this is the only design that we would go, so it's clear in the application.
Okay. All right. Yes, we don't have Georgina. So if, do you have any questions, Shauna? All right. Then we can move forward. Thank you, guys.
thank
Thank
you.
you.
All right. So I think we're caught up to where I jumped to. I apologize again for my mistake. So we are at presentation of the LVIBA Fridays Al Fresco summer session for 4,800.
My turn?
Susie, yeah, if you're presenting, that's you.
Okay, just double checking I was supposed to start talking. I didn't want to interrupt you. This is an easy one because it's practically a duplicate of the first one that's already been approved. We had an application for the summer because we thought that since there were 20 Fridays al frescos, that we could combine them all and do one application. We were told that we had to stick with the $5,000 limit. So we re-entered all the applications in 3 different batches, spring, summer, and fall. And what you have in front of you are the summer and fall applications. And I did change the numbers just a little bit since the city was going to take over the sound and amplifiers and all of that. So there was a little bit of money left before we hit that $5,000. And so I just, in a very small way, I increased the calendar days from 46 to 60. The digital boosts, I increased them from $100 a month to $150. The radio ads on CanX, I went from 130 to 150. So they're relatively small, and we're still well under the $5,000 limit. So I guess I'll just jump to standing for questions.
I think for me, you answered them. It's very similar to, or it's the same as what we've approved. This is just the extension of the season. And that's what we had agreed that would happen on the last meeting, that we would look to continue it for the next term. The gray area would be the fall. Honestly, I don't have that answer. I think we could address the summer right away. As far as the fall and the next fiscal year, I'd have to get back to you on that answer. But again, I mean, the application is the same. I don't see why on my end, but I'd have to ask questions at the city level as far as finance and how that works for approval in the next fiscal year. If you have any questions, Shauna, you have any questions?
Not. Thank you, Susie.
Thank you, Shauna.
Thanks, Susie.
Thank you.
All right.
So I guess you can't vote because Georgina's gone?
We weren't voting on anything today. They were all presentations.
That's right. Okay.
And
I have one more presentation then. It is for a spring benefit show that the Arts Council is having.
okay.
So shall I go ahead? Okay. Normally, we pay for our own advertising for our shows, but this show is a little bit different. The Literacy Council, who is a fiscal sponsored organization of the Arts Council, I'm sorry, I said Literacy Council. I mean Literary Salon. They're so close together that I never get it right the first time. There's a Literary Salon that is a fiscal sponsored organization of the Arts Council, and they have been doing fabulous things. They published their first book of stories and essays and tales of Northern New Mexico. It's called Tapestry. And they did, they were very fair in the sense that these were all judged without names, so that they were judged totally on the content rather than by anything else. And so the other thing that they've done often is they've worked with the West Las Vegas high school students who have a poetry club, and they have given them an opportunity to perform for their families and for the rest of the public. They've done it on Zoom and they've done it live. So it's a very busy organization that's done a lot of things in the year since they've been our fiscal sponsored organization. Someone donated to them an Elmer Schooley painting. Elmer Schooley, and to be perfectly honest, when I came to work for the Arts Council, I just had heard of Van Gogh and you know, Da Vinci and that. I'd never heard of Elmer Schooley, but he's one of the famous four with the fine frenzy that Elizabeth Thorne wrote the book about. Four artists that were very popular at Highlands at a certain time. They were donated this piece in order to sell it to raise money for another project. So 100% of the sales price will go to nonprofit. Some of it will come to us. We're a nonprofit. Most of it, 80% of it, will go to the literary salon. Having said that, it was appraised in Santa Fe, and they were offered numbers between $3,000 and $5,000 for this particular piece, because Elmer Schooley's name is well known in certain art circles, just like Ray Drew, Paul Volkaning, and Harry Lippy. All of their names are well known, and they get that kind of money. So we thought, in order to get the full price for this, that we should advertise way outside of Las Vegas and start with the Santa Fe Pasatiempo magazine, which doesn't ever mention us, even in their free sections, even though I ask them to every month. Now, in addition, excuse me, our board didn't think that we could have a show around one painting, obviously. So in the meantime, there have been other donations of Elmer Schooley's. We've had possibilities of donations of Ray Drew's. We've had posters donated by Ray John de Aragon that were signed by he and his wife that they created. And as a result, we decided that we should expand this way beyond a fundraiser for the literary salon and the Arts Council, and that we should include every nonprofit in town. So what we're doing is we are looking for donations of artwork by somebody with a name that could be recognized. The donation, up 80% of the sales price of the artwork, will go to any nonprofit in town that's selected by the donor. It could go to Main Street, Animal Welfare, Samaritan House, any of the nonprofits in town. And 20% of it will stay with the Arts Council, because it's a gallery fee that we charge all the artists. We always charge that unless we're having a student show, and then we don't charge anything. We just donate all of our time and energy. So the reason I brought it to you was because this show, if it's going to have those big names, needs to be advertised outside of the community. And so I specifically requested that we could get some help with 2 ads in Pasatiempo, posters for local distributions. It was part of our total budget for the event, as well as reception and administration and volunteer hours in kind. But the only thing that we're asking from the city, from lodgers tax, is the price of the ads in Pasatiempo, because they're expensive, and we think they're a great idea and they'll be good for Vegas. And smart people will not only come to the Arts Council to see the work, but they'll eat at the Skillet or somewhere else in town and spread that money. So I think it's beneficial to advertise the Arts Council Gallery 140 for this particular show, and I think it's a good case for being in Pasatiempo, which is part of the Santa Fe, New Mexico. That's all. Any questions? Thank you. I know you're all exhausted. I bet some of you are snoring with your cameras off. But anyway, thank you.
Actually, I had I was on mute, so I apologize. I was saying take a breath.
Me?
Yeah. That was long, but the only question I mean, just to clarify, you're asking for the 1,164 for the inserts, right?
Yes, it's not an insert. It'll be an ad in the in Pasatiempo, a regular print ad, a quarter-page ad in Pasatiempo, which is the weekly insert for Santa Fe. Yes, it does come to Vegas. I mean, if the whole paper comes to Vegas, then the Pasatiempo will be in there. But its primary focus is certainly not on Las Vegas. It's on Santa Fe, Albuquerque, and all around the state.
Works. All right. That's the only question I had. Good presentation. Any questions, Shauna? All right. Thank you for the presentation, Susie. Let me check if we have.
I will breathe after the meeting is over. Okay.
Okay. Okay. All right. Let's see. Okay. Yep. You were the last item, so we have gotten through our business items. Moving on to discussion items, the Visitor's Guide RFP. And as far as discussion goes, it's just me and you on Shauna, but from what I'm hearing, that still needs to go out. I haven't heard progress on that, but my hope is that something can be done. Heading into the summer without a visitor's guide is interesting, especially this summer, fully out of COVID, but we're going to have to compensate with whatever else we have. That's all I have on visitor's guide, unfortunately, until we see otherwise. My hope is that we see something soon.
Mr. Krutik Bhakta, we've been, Scott, Aaron, and myself have been putting together a scope of work for a marketing, branding, visitor's guide for the city of Las Vegas. If we're going to move forward we already are moving forward with the New Mexico True program. And then if some of these other packages or presentations are approved, then we'll just move forward with the scope of work for the visitor's guide.
Yeah, and so and I'm glad that's being done. I mean, what the board has always struggled with is, I mean, we've over the times we've mentioned what we've wanted to do, what we've got to get accomplished, but we've never gotten that scope of work into an actual RFP. So I'm glad that is moving. I also understand the frustration from the public, considering the time that's going by. And so maybe there's a combination of things we can do. Yes, these RFPs are coming out, and then there's things that we can do in the meantime that we can make it work, make a whole project. What can we do in the meantime while these RFPs are being developed and put out? Because there's going to be a process for when we do get them out, and some time period for people to apply. And so that's some time that goes by. So what can we do in the meantime that we could execute on immediately is what we can hopefully discuss and move forward on. All right, that is the end of our. Go ahead, Michael.
I just want to say one thing. We're in our organization, we're working on a marketing plan, and that plan just for our little organization is going to take until the beginning of next year, till the holidays. So for the city to do it, I think it would take a while. So in the meantime, for this summer and spring, it'd be great to have something else going.
Yeah, I mean, those are our thoughts. If it's gonna take some time, I don't see why there couldn't be some parallel things happening. Hopefully, with the end product, when we get to, the scope of works that we can look at if there's any efforts that are being duplicated. My hope is that we can get all the information out as soon as we can, so we can start combining efforts right away. But if we can't, I mean, we got to. I mean, I agree with the public. I mean, we need to start executing on something. And it's not. I'm not saying that we haven't done anything, but that there's a good amount of things that we can do. And I don't see why we can't address some of these things. I think they're good projects from what I can see so far. If all of our questions are answered, I don't see why not. We can't get some of these things done while we're also going out for RFP on some of these other things. At the end of the day, we can hopefully combine those efforts down the road. All right. Any more discussion on visitor's guide or meeting? All right. I will adjourn the meeting. I don't think, Christina, we need a roll call if we don't have a quorum.
So we don't have a quorum right now.
Yeah.
So we can't take action on anything. So I think we'll just have to probably have you just call the meeting without the vote.
Okay. So I adjourn the meeting. All right. Bye, folks.